Hello. Today we're going to talk about why your weight loss efforts are not paying off and specifically what to do about it. So today I want to take a little bit different approach about the topic of weight loss. Every single day I am seeing patients who are struggling for weight loss, even though they may be embracing a whole food plant-based diet or they've tried all sorts of things. They just said, my body just isn't working. So we're going to talk about some very specific things, what you've been told before and why that may not work for you. Specifically, I want to try to shatter some of the myths. And really, I get it. People are tired. They're fed up with the endless cycle of weight loss fads and they promise a lot but deliver just a little. But really, let's talk about some unconventional reasons why maybe the calories in, calories out isn't seem to be working. Obviously, it does. There is some caloric component to this, but there's some other things I really want to talk about. It's about behavior and other things, but we'll get there. But really that just go eat less and move more has really the model has failed us, right? People will try and be successful for a short period of time and then they just give up because nothing lasts, or they restrict so much that they feel exhausted. Well, if you've been spinning your wheels and traditional paths to weight loss just haven't been working, well, stick with me. We're going to go into a little bit more exploration about some really, I consider groundbreaking strategies, at least what I've been working with patients. It seems to work really, really well. And just redefine our approach to weight loss, right? And really focus in on your health and let weight loss kind of be the secondary game. So let's talk a little bit about. So typically, what do most people in the healthcare industry tell you, or in health industry in general? They tell you the usual advice is when it comes to weight loss revolves around cutting calories drastically, right? Engaging in excessive exercise and following trends, right? Unsustainable diets, all about restrictions and short-term goals. And why is that wrong? Well, it's fundamentally wrong because it overlooks the underlying mechanisms that are occurring in our bodies, right? It can lead to muscle mass loss. It can lead to hormonal imbalances, fatigue. It can actually do more harm than good, and extreme fatigue. And I'll tell people, you can only do this for a short period of time. And again, I really want to point out it's just unsustainable. Yes, it might work for a week, 2 weeks, but for the long term, you just can't do it. And we've probably all heard of The Biggest Loser and how those folks, they cut calories and they had them exercising to extremes and they lost all this amount of weight only to go back and gain as much or more than the weight they had lost. So what should we do instead? Well, this is kind of the fun stuff. So instead of drastic measures, let's talk about sustainable practices, right? What can we do to enhance our metabolic health? Right? Let's talk about what we can do to not only improve our scale, the numbers, our body composition, more importantly than the number on the scale, but what can we do to actually improve our metabolic health? And that's what I love to work with, is all about your metabolic health, insulin resistance, and all that good stuff. So much fun to talk about, but what can you do? I'm going to take this and contrast this with business. So maybe it'll hit you a little better. So having started and sold businesses myself, I like to just kind of take a different approach. So first of all, when you look at entrepreneurs, they look at business a little bit differently. And I want you to think about yourself as the CEO. You're an entrepreneur starting on a new venture called getting healthy, or maybe weight loss, whatever it is you like to structure your personal business about your personal health. Whatever that title resonates with you, go for it. There's no limits. There's no right or wrong. But what are we going to name it? But we're going to talk about a few different principles. Number one is using what you already have, right? They also call it the bird in hand. So in this business, this principle really focuses on starting with existing resources, right? What do you already have? Then seeking out new opportunities right from the onset. Like, oh, this isn't working. Like, what's a new diet? What's a new exercise plan? What's a new exercise equipment that I can get? All these things, people are always chasing something that might be the thing that they're looking for. What's the magic bullet? Well, let's just step back and take inventory of what you already have. Let's talk about assessment, right? What do you already know about nutrition and exercise, and perhaps previous strategies, more importantly, previous strategies that worked for you before, right? That you felt good, that you had more energy, that you had a successful track, maybe 3, 6, 9, 12 months of sustainable weight loss or healthier eating or healthier living. You felt good about where you were. That is a clue that if it worked once, it probably will work again, or at least get you going in the right direction. Next is utilize available resources, right? So, this could be the workout equipment that you already have. This could be the food that's already accessible, foods that you like in the whole food realm, not ultra processed foods. But so maybe it's an app that you love to engage on. Maybe it's your Apple Watch. Maybe it's the Whoop. Maybe it's MyFitnessPal. Whatever it is that you can track. Maybe there's something there that you can utilize. Trackers, pedometers, little Fitbit. There's all sorts of things that you probably already have. So take inventory of what you have and use that to get you started. You don't have to necessarily think about doing this whole new exercise regimen or a new diet routine. Now, you may need some help. Maybe you need some professional guidance, but let's just start with what you have. So don't feel like you're always starting over, because you have experience, and let's start tapping into it. So start thinking about it. That's bringing you to utilize your past experiences, failures, or wins as opportunities to create a more sustainable, more likely to succeed future. So that's strategy number 1. Strategy 2 is controlling the downside, right? So entrepreneurs will control risk only when they can afford to lose, right? And in weight loss, that can translate to a few different things. So we're thinking about affordable losses. So how do we do that? How do we think about, okay, let's control the downside? Well, one, you're going to set realistic and small goals, right? So yes, there's a future bigger goal, but that will take care of itself. What we want to do is set something a little bit more achievable. It's a little bit more realistic instead of these huge drastic changes, right? So start with achievable goals like improving water intake. Let's just start with that. I'm sure there's a large percentage of us, I don't have the exact data, so I won't quote myself here, that aren't even drinking enough water regularly, right? So then maybe it's start taking a short daily walk. If it's only 5 minutes, then start with 5 minutes. I have a great story that I share often with a patient who we were trying to figure out how to help her get well. She was overweight, hypertensive, diabetic. She was not feeling well. And I asked her, I was like, where can you exercise? And there's just the thought of exercise overwhelmed her. I was like, okay, let's break it down even smaller. I was like, when are you outside? And she goes, well, I'm outside twice, when I get in my car to go to work and when I come home and get out of my car to go in the house. I was like, okay, I need you, if you're willing, to walk to the end of the driveway and back. So you pull in to your home at the end of the day, you leave the door open, you walk to the end of the driveway and back. 30 seconds top, right? She's like, are you serious? I'm like, yes, I'm absolutely serious. I was like, do you pinky promise? So we literally hooked pinkies in this appointment. This was when I was seeing patients in person. And she did this because it was so easy and small. And she thought it was silly, but she did it for me. And what happened was she walked to the end of the driveway and walked back. And by a few days later, she goes, this is crazy. I can walk around the block. The walk around the block turned to 2 and 3 miles. And guess what? That started feeding other healthy habits. She ended up losing 60 pounds, reversing her diabetes, reversing her hypertension. Is one of my favorite stories because it really shows that you just have to start. I mean, let's say your 1,000-mile journey, it just seems so inconceivable that you could achieve such amazing goals. But it's literally, you have to start with the first step. And it is the first step is the beginning of your 1,000-mile journey. But I don't want you to think about the 1,000-mile journey. I want you to think about the next step. What is that one step that you can start? Because that will lead to many, many steps in the future. And before you know it, you're looking back going, wow, look how far I've came. And it happens faster than you think. Anyway, next, beyond that, I think it really is a matter of managing your risk and dietary changes is instead of just overhauling your entire diet overnight, maybe we break that down into smaller chunks, right? Thinking about substitutions from healthier foods. So instead of an egg in the morning, maybe do a tofu scramble, or maybe a processed cereal, ultra processed cereal, you replace it with oatmeal. If you want to go fully plant-based, maybe we just start with breakfast for a couple weeks, then add lunch, then add dinner over, again, 4 to 6 weeks. There's lots of ways to do this, but we want to manage our risk of backsliding and becoming overwhelmed. And so really the downside of bringing in healthier habits is feeling overwhelmed and unsustainability. And the way to do that is to make it smaller, right? And link it to things that we're already doing. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3 is find people to help you level up. Let's go find, we are social creatures, people. We need to build a network. So in business, remember you heard the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's the same for winners in life and health and everything. It's really thinking about who is your network, who are your stakeholders in your care that love you, right? Your family members, your spouse, your friends, your siblings, your next door neighbor. I don't know who that is in your life, but who can you tap into, but also have them put some skin in the game. Maybe they want to get healthier. So you always want to business partner or partner with people who have some skin in the game with you, because they're more likely to show up when the showing up gets harder to do. So that is your support team. And absolutely, if you need professional help, is it nutritionist, signing up for a course, getting a physician to help you, walk you through these things. Again, whoever that needs to be, find out who that is in your life, who's been there for you in the past, who showed up when everyone else was too afraid to ask or talk to you. That is the person you need to tap into. Next is, what do they do in business? Well, we talk about turning lemons into lemonade. So, right, really, when you think about in business, the best way to approach setbacks, quote unquote failures, is look at them as opportunities, because the best opportunity is through the obstacle. And this is where you can learn and pivot. So learn from your setbacks. Don't think of this as a failure, but just, again, learning opportunity. What was the struggle? Where can we improve? And next is adapting strategies, right? So just as in business, you pivot based on feedback, adjust your eating habits and physical activities based on monitoring. Maybe we're monitoring how we're feeling. I love to utilize CGMs, a continuous glucose monitor. That is very helpful. Maybe we start with labs and we're periodically checking our labs. Lots of things you can do, but we want to get that feedback going so that you can understand, yes, this is where I am. Maybe it didn't turn out as much as well as I thought it would be, but this is a great time to pivot, because where I'm going is not exactly where it is, right? Let's say you started some changes in your lifestyle habits and the weight isn't coming off, or you were feeling more fatigued, or whatever that is. Utilize that as feedback, just as a pointer to change what you've been doing. So again, I really love to approach it that way, because it just makes it a little bit more likely to happen. It just seems not quite so overwhelming, right? So again, you don't have to do all of these all at once. I'm just trying to give you some ideas. Instead of there's only 2 things I can do, is slash calories and exercise until I would drop. No, let's change it. Let's change the conversation about how we can do this. So next and final would be pilots in a plane, right? You are the pilot. You create your own environment. So entrepreneurs thrive by creating the environments conducive to success. So what does that mean? This means you can control what you can control and you ignore what you can't. So you control what's in your home. You control what goes in your mouth, right? You control those things. You can't control what your neighbors are doing or your spouse is doing or whatever they're saying, but you ignore that. Yeah, they'll talk to you. They'll try to change your position or whatever, but you can only control what you do. You can only control what's going on inside, your inner state, your mindfulness, how you're feeling, whether you choose to be grateful or not. So again, you get to control your inner state and your activities and your behaviors. Yes, it might seem harder, but there are some strategies to change your thinking, how to change negative thinking to positive thinking, to be more mindful. You can learn how to deal with cravings and stresses, which actually turn out to be kind of fun. The cravings actually feed your change. Whole nother dynamic of how to approach that. But you can design your surroundings. Really think about how can you make your environment conducive to healthier eating options, for example, or more likely to move. Lots of different things. And then control your input, guys. What comes in will come out. Be mindful of media, social media, information, or influences around you. You get to choose what you allow into your mind. And this is the most important thing you have in your success, be it life in general. I don't care if it's your health goals, your financial goals, just life in general. Whether you end up having a overall more desirable life, happier life. This really is, I hate to say it, but it is a choice in a sense. But I know that seems like I just can't do that. But again, there's so many strategies to it, but you get to control it. So if you put more positive input, you're going to get a more positive output. That is just the way it is. You might have heard, you're more likely, there's a, what's it called? I can't remember the name of the book. It's left me at the moment. But anyway, basically what it was is that, for example, obesity was contagious, like 2 in 3 people removed from you. So not just the immediate people you know, but 2 and 3 people away from you. So let's say that my husband works for someone that I never met, his boss or the boss's wife. So the boss's wife, let's say, makes really unhealthy food choices, ultra processed foods. The boss is unhealthy, and then my husband works with that unhealthy boss. They like to go out, so maybe my husband eats more unhealthy foods options, and so now that kind of trickles here because now my husband's bringing in unhealthier food into the home, and he's really struggling. So there's this ripple effect that occurs just by the influences that we put out into the world. So again, those influences are really important. So start surrounding yourself with, again, it could be the social media that you're looking at, the people that you're surrounding with. Make those people are going to help you or hinder you towards your goals. So, all right. The other thing here is called effectual thinking. So basically, you're going to minimize reliance on predictive information. So basically, this means instead of getting hung up on, let's say, specific diet outcomes or overly ambitious fitness goals, you focus on what you control, which is your daily habits and your decisions. And when you can make better decisions is when you have tons of experience, which will come with time, or you work with someone who has tons of experience. 2, you get good information. You assess where you are. You educate yourself, right? And 3, you get immediate feedback. And that's what I love about technology, CGM, fitness type, all sorts of fitness apps, whatever. There's lots of ways you can get that immediate feedback. Maybe it's also journaling. You journal how you are at the end of the day. That is the feedback that you need on a daily basis to determine if what you're doing is making you a good choice. So, and you focus on what you control, like I mentioned before, which is, again, you concentrate on the efforts or your actions that you can take immediately and directly, such as cooking your meals at home, scheduling your routine, your workouts, and how you deal with stress. I know it seems overwhelming and that's a lot out there, but that really is where I see people who manage their weight for the long term. They're not just focused on what's the scale, because if they start changing how they're interacting, one, with their inner thoughts and their world, they start taking responsibility for their environment and run this like a business in a sense. I thought it was an interesting analogy. That's where you see sustainable change, and it not only affects your health, but it affects other aspects of your life, and that's the really cool part. So you're going to build the life of your desires. May not be what I would think would be good for you. You get to decide what that is. That is the personalization piece. So what will happen when you start doing that? Well, you start getting a more personalized thought. You will not only see that, again, that sustainable weight loss, but you experience increased energy. You'll see better mood stability. You sleep better, and overall just improved health, right? It's all about gaining your vibrant and healthy life. And then I think, what will you be in a year from now? So let's say you just start small now. What does all that mean, like in a year? I mean, not even necessarily a year, but let's say a month, 2 months, 3 months, by the end of 2024. And where would you be by early 25, or this time again next summer? Who knows where you'll be? That's incredible to think about. If you get started and really think about a different dynamic and how you're engaging in your health, that is going to be incredible. So I just get so excited thinking about where people can be. I just know that these practices are so powerful. So anyway, I just really hope you find this helpful. By the way, I have launched a new free masterclass 5 Steps to Master Your Metabolism and Lose Weight. It's absolutely free. You can see the registration link below in the copy wherever you are. Hope you check it out. It's been a lot of fun creating the masterclass, and I'm going to talk to you about the 4 mistakes that most people make in their weight loss journey and my 5-step framework to help people not only master their metabolism, but also lose weight sustainably. So hope you like this. Hope this is helpful. You guys have, as always, please, thank you for your time. I know you could be elsewhere, and I'm sending you love, joy, and peace, and above all, happiness and healing, because we need all of us need more of that in our world today. So have a good day, and I'll be back with what else I knows will come into my head. Again, I appreciate your time. As always, thanks.